design is really about making anything and everything in society move to the next level. So I would say this was a larger envelope to address, and I'm sure at some point architecture will plug in as well.
Yeah, people do have that confusion about design decoration, because in India, like sometimes a pattern can also be called a design.
Yeah.
Hi friends, hello and welcome to the show Skill Tree Education Evangelist of India. As it has become obvious that today's evangelist is none other than architect Saurabh Gupta of the very renowned TDV, The Design Village. While prepping up for today's session, I was reading about our evangelist, and trust me, this is a story I can totally relate to. So let's not waste too much time and let's start our conversation with architect Saurabh Gupta. Hi. Hi Saurabh, thank you for coming all the way here. I have heard so much about you and I have been speaking to you backstage, and now I'm here with you, and I guess like me, you've also had multiple professions in one lifetime, if I might say, and what an impressive, what do you call it in architects world, resume or
Journey, I would say.
journey or filmography we call it, or bibliography for books. So I think it's reading. For those who may not know this, you made the Delhi Heart. Yeah, I like Delhi Heart. You know, and so many other fascinating things. The Taj Mahal renovations you've been a part of. So I think you are one of India's leading architects. So everything was going fine, but then you said, I'm going to do something in education as well, because you had a very big career. You have your own firm with more than 100 plus architects there. What made you get into education, and specifically what led to the Design Village?
So Chetan, basically what happened was that obviously Arcom was doing well, my office was doing well, and about 10 years into the industry, you understood the ecosystem, you understood the environment you were in, and you were constantly wondering on the gaps and the lack of quality around. And rather than complaining, we really said to ourselves, let's try and do something about it. And I think that's somewhere where we said, let's trespass into somebody else's territory. Let's try and look at education and see what can be done. But there really wasn't any rush. So what we did was we put a team together where we said we will look at every good design institute in the world. We look at it physically, really look at its curriculum, its courses, its students, its campuses, put them all together, and then really start defining what's the design school of the world and what's relevant in India. I think putting that together is where was the starting points of the Design Village.
What is interesting, and although some people confuse between the two because they are kind of linked, but you are an architect and known architecture practice, but the school you opened was a design school, not an architecture school. Yeah. Firstly, what's the difference for a lay person, and why did you make that choice?
So, first and foremost, I would like to say it's a design school, and a lot of people even confuse design with decoration. And I say that decoration is really nothing to do with design. And the reason it got into a design school as a starting point were two, you know. First was personal, because starting architecture school would suck me in completely, and I did not want to do that. Second, design was much more a larger umbrella. Architecture, they say, it was the mother of all design, how it started as most acceptable. But design is really about making anything and everything in society move to the next level. So I would say this was a larger envelope to address, and I'm sure at some point architecture will plug in as well.
Yeah, people do have that confusion about design decoration, because in India, like sometimes a pattern can also be called a design.
Yeah.
कि ये तेरी shirt पे design अच्छा है.
Yeah.
But
so craft is a way of addressing, and then design can take that craft to a different level. But it's all about thinking. In my head, design is always about lateral thinking.
Why did you call it the Design Village? And tell me more about the facility, which is also sort of unique.
Okay. So you actually answered the question. I always say, and we live by the fact that it's life through design, where everything should have a narrative, everything should have a reason. And so the idea was to make this a village where everybody who's a part of the system is called a villager, is actually a design villager. And for him to be a design villager, he needs to be able to inspire people around. He has to have an awareness about himself and the world around. He has to have the perseverance to be able to deliver something, because design is not really understood. But far more than most of these, he has to have the compassion to understand society and then take it forward. And so that ecosystem put together, that villager making that impact, was really the dream, and that's what the institute is all about.
All right, that's interesting. And the college itself, I hear, the building where the college is also unique, not a typical college building.
Yeah, so I always say, your inventions are always because you have some problems or limitations. So we were looking for a campus that could help this situation, and like we discussed, I wanted it to be in the heart of a city, because you wanted the best from the industry to come in. You couldn't be taking it out and plugging it out far off. So wanted to be nestled in the heart. So we found an old Katha factory, and it was a fairly large factory which had gone bust or wasn't out of pollution, whatever, was closed down. And we remodeled that, keeping everything intact, but housing in a full design school. Now, with that happening, each and every corner of the design school is something different, something unique. And the whole idea is obviously very new as well. So there's nobody on campus who can ever say that this is not possible. And that's really something you want to start. So even the campus tries to live the philosophy of being able to think out of the box.
Fantastic, fantastic. In fact, you have this term, I think, design thinking. And you believe in it pretty strongly, that it should be very basic design thinking. What is this design thinking, and why is it important?
So it's at two levels. One, because we say that design thinking is what can take the society forward. And the second is really a reaction to the current environment. So when you say a design school today, you start first putting it into various categories and silos. You say there's a fashion design, there's a graphic design, there's a product design. Now that, in effect, what it's saying is that you need to find a solution through fashion only. So you end up making a tailor trying to think as an education system.
Yeah.
And that's the gap.
Imagination.
Imagination.
Yeah. You can know the craft, but the art, the way. Okay. On that note, I have someone on the screen who would like to say a message.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Natasha Singh. I'm from the Design Village.
Hey there, I'm Siddharth Sadana and I'm pursuing space design here in TDV.
Structure of Design Village actually inspires us a lot, because we don't have restricted classes where we work on. We have the freedom to go and explore any space and work there. There are spaces which actually inspire us a lot. Each and every corner of Design Village is very different. I don't think I've ever seen a design college like this before.
We explore the things, go out on field works, interact with people, being there with them and understanding their mentality, going to villages, living with them, understanding what they do, how they think about design. That makes us villager.
Wonderful. Definitely. Okay. How are you as a student?
Well, I did my schooling in Delhi. I came into Ahmedabad to do my bachelor's. I think I was a fairly shy student, very disciplined, very hardworking, I know. But then the eureka moment for me in my life happened when I went for a year in the Netherlands. I went to study in Bouwkund, which was really the most powerful school at that time in Europe, in the Netherlands. And I studied there for a year. More than studying, I interacted, I traveled, I exchanged, and that really inspired me to what I am and what I wanted to do in life. And so I was always curious, I was always hardworking, but it kind of gave me a very strong direction. And I think that's what's really turned out. A lot of people now say that as a kid I was very ambitious, but I have no memory of that.
All right, all right. Yeah, and how do you say that the Design Village shapes students differently for their industries?
My dream is that a student should be able to work in a bank, a student should be able to work in a hospital. We are currently sending our students to hospitals to figure out problems to enhance experiences for the attendants or for the patients. So we are doing a lot of museums, and so the students are working in those museums to make them more attractive, so the storytelling in India can be more powerful. So it can be in various domains. So my dream is really where students are compassionate enough to be able to understand the society in today and know exactly where to intervene and how much to intervene, and then bring the whole team together.
I also have someone else who can throw some light on this.
Super.
Hello, I'm Ridu. and I'm a designer, and I'm one of the founding members of the Design Village. So once upon a time, TDV was a factory, and now we took this place and converted it into this really cool design campus where the boiler room is a classroom. The array of machinery is all in the canteen. We have a cold storage that we made into a library. So as you can see all around me, it's a bit of a crazy campus. However, I truly believe that we build spaces and then they build us. And TDV is a beautiful example of how the space is a teacher.
It's like a very big thing for you. Firstly, how do you get the time between running an architecture firm and a college? And what are the craziest places you've traveled to?
So it starts with the fact that you try and say work takes you to places, but once you start traveling, I think it's very infectious. I mean, and because you have to do these multiple things, you need your breathers. And I really look at traveling as my breather, because not only does it provide me with a lot of adrenaline to kind of visually look and enrich myself, it also gives me a lot of space personally. So whether it's traveling with friends or family, with kids, with office people, I think it's always extremely enriching for me to travel, and yeah, I don't think I can live without travel.
Definitely. We separately have a very nice message from Mr. Paul Heckert, and let's listen to it. I mean, watch it actually.
Hello, my name is Paul Heckert and I'm a professor of industrial design engineering at Delft University of Technology. Many years ago, Saurabh Gupta from Arcom asked us to join him in a new adventure, which was to build a new school. And together we designed, you could say, the curriculum of the school, but also the underlying philosophy, the vision of the school.
The idea is that it's truly an international school. This is really a unique institute with its vision, its approach, its curriculum.
That was just great. What else do you do for fun? I mean, I know you love to travel, but otherwise on a day-to-day basis, what do you do in yours, if you have any spare time, that is?
I think I love to read a lot. I'm somebody who's a books person. I actually don't have television in my life. I don't have social media in my life. And these kind of choices gave me a lot of space. So reading goes a lot, playing badminton with my kids is a big thing in my life. Of course, travel we've discussed. Yeah, conversations. I've always been somebody who's curious about cultures and communities, and picking up conversations is something I love. So it's been great to be here.
Yeah. Have you had any major setbacks in life, or what everybody has had actually, but what would you call your biggest one or two setbacks in life, and how did you overcome them?
So I don't even remember that I have had setbacks. Probably it's because of the way of the optimist I am. And I always see that problem, that adversity as an opportunity. So whether it was starting a school when we had no energy, and then you found people and you had these aligned friends who became co-founders with you, or you had no place and you found this factory and you recreated, or you found a project where you were told to come in and design a pipeline or a sewage system, but you ended up dressing up the entire old city of Lucknow as an urban designer. You know, you always kind of took the problem and tried to convert it into a solution. So for me, it's always been that. So I wouldn't be able to pin on an adversary that
I must say is a very, very positive attitude. And on that note, we can end this. But before you go, we also are trying to do a design thing, which is that we try to capture this moment by taking a nice picture and helping us build a picture wall.
All right.
Designers coming together to create a platform for other budding designers. That's what the Design Village is all about. We were in talks with architect Saurabh Gupta, a celebrated educationist whose journey is really inspiring. This is me, Chetan Bhagat, signing off for today. Keep watching Education Evangelist of India, powered by Great Place to Study, streaming on ForbesIndia.com.